All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow. I have a few things I need to report on to inform you, the people. You know, there's a growing movement all across this land, all across the world. The people are starting to wake up and they're starting to see that we've all been had. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that Pastor Dow does not so-called trust in the professionals or the expert opinions. As a matter of fact, I do my due diligence to do what I can to wake up as many people as I can to start exercising self-autonomy and start thinking independently the way that the system has trained us to think. Now, and the reason why I say that because there are a lot of abuses that go on that the general public would never know about because the system is designed and set up to protect itself against you, the people. And it only takes a couple of bad experiences before you begin to wake up and start to understand and see that we live in a system that is heartless, cold, and cruel, and just jacked up murderers. I mean, really. Now, I'm going to report to you what Sister Bonnie sent me. It's an article about Erin Health Britannicals. And what they're doing is they're talking about the hospitals. Now, I want y'all to listen very closely because what I'm getting ready to talk about, you're not going to hear in the mainstream news media because corporations protect corporations. And if you notice, anytime that these corporations, they always lobby the Congress, who they give more money than you do to. They do. And then they make their way up to the Supreme Court. And you wouldn't believe probably how many bags of money are just handed under the table for so-called quote-unquote laws to be passed. They seem to be what we would call beneficial to you and I, yet we end up receiving the brunt of the sad part. I mean, I'll give you an example. A corporation like Walmart, all right? There are people who die on the road at these trucks that Walmart carries. You know, they carry anywhere between 75,000 and 85,000 pounds of stock. And you're talking about a literal missile on the road compared to these cars, all right? So the first thing that they do, especially when they run in the back of somebody and they kill them, kill a whole entire family, they rush to go settle. And if you end up going to a court case or you try to go to the federal court and stuff, they're going to do everything they can, playing the game, because that's exactly what it is. They're going to play the game all the way up to the point to make it seem like they're, okay, we're fair and we're just, but the truth is they're really for the corporations because by the time you get to the court, you have what you call not admissible evidence, and guess who gets to determine that? Why, the federal government or the federal judge does. And you know who interests are they in. So you have these lawyers up there dog and pony and playing game and stuff, and the people are totally oblivious to what's going on. And by the time you get up there and have all the real true evidence that should be admissible, and then the federal judge guts the entire case and stuff, what do you have left? Well, you have a bunch of people that's just been victimized. And you think they care? No. You know why? Because a corporation is a person. It's a living, breathing person according to the United States Supreme Court. So you can try to appeal and go up, but you can forget about it. It's over with and done. Well, anyway, every dog has its day, and I'm content to wait on that day. Now, what I want to report on here is this article about hospitals. I want you to listen very closely, too. All right? Because, and the reason why I brought up all that is because when you get these settled lawsuits, they get a gag order put on them stating you can't tell nobody nothing like this. If you do, then all the money that you gained from this lawsuit is not going to be available anymore. And we're going to take it from you. So you can't tell nobody. And that's the reason why you don't see all these big, gigantic lawsuits out there because the corporations, they do whatever they can. They do care about the image, but they don't care about the image enough to destroy one person. That's just the truth. Now listen to this. Here's the article right here. Do you know that deaths at hospitals caused by medical errors fill 4 jumbo jets a week? 4 a week. Sure, hospitals are designed and doctors are trained to save lives, yet these deaths do happen due to human error, and sadly, they are largely avoidable. Unfortunately, the hospitals and the doctors are not learning from their mistakes. Why isn't the general public more aware of these large numbers of deaths? As it turns out, the hospitals and doctors that settle with patients/families for mishaps and deaths due to medical errors almost always bind these folks with a gag order. This effectively prevents us, the public at large, from ever gaining any knowledge of the circumstances behind these types of deaths. So, by design, they are hiding their mistakes. And since we do not know that this is happening, we can certainly never find out what is being done to rectify these errors and reduce the number of fatalities and mishaps. Now, I just read a great article, surprisingly written by a doctor, that sheds some light on this subject and calls for some accountability by all the parties involved. And it has some really interesting yet scary facts. And here are just a few. Number one, U.S. surgeons operate on the wrong body part as often as 40 times a week. If medical errors were a disease, they would be the sixth leading cause of death in America. That's number two. Can you imagine that? If medical errors were a disease, they would be the sixth leading cause of death. Number three, roughly a quarter of the hospital patients will be harmed by a medical error of some kind. Can you imagine that? Number four, some 20 to 30% of all medications, tests, and procedures, are unnecessary. Well, you have to understand, guess who protects Big Pharma? The federal government does. And you can't make money off of healthy people. You make money off a sick population. Well, listen, I got a brand new idea for all this. And what it is you learn how to take care of yourself. And you learn how to think independently of what these commercials and all these books that everybody making billions of dollars off of in order to deceive you and continue to keep fleecing you, waiting for the next great hope and gain. Let me give you an example. I pastor a church. It's probably about a little small country church, probably about 50 of us. And we have people ranging from ages 84 all the way down to 2 years old. Now, I'm going to tell you something that you're not going to ever hear in any other church organizational statistics. Now, you listen to me real close. This church where I pastor at, there's not one of us that's on one prescription drug. There's not one of us under any doctor's care whatsoever at all. Well, what do we do in order to get that? Number one, we're very proactive in taking care of ourselves because we believe that we're responsible for our own health. And that means that we have to put the proper nutrition in our bodies and stop eating all that poison, i.e. the number one poison, sugar. And whether you like it or not, I just got finished talking with a man yesterday who he said his wife doesn't eat any green whatsoever, all green foods. And I want to say this again. I know you folks ain't going to like it, but I'm going to tell you, you just get ready when you get in your 40s and your 50s for a very painful, slow, horrific death for not paying attention to your health. And one of the main things you need for your health is green foods. Now, we supplement because our environment is toxic because they're spraying chemtrails and these chemicals that are so toxic that are all across this land and stuff. They're just killing us. They're killing us left and right. So we grow the majority of our own food here straightway. We raise the majority of our own food. And if we do have to go out and buy food, we're very careful about reading the labels to determine what we want to get for our food to put into our bodies. So we're relatively healthy people, and we drink good, clean water, i.e. distilled and the reverse osmosis machine that we have. And I would recommend that to you, but I'm going to tell you right now that you need vitamins, you need minerals, you need enzymes, all the stuff which is depleted from the soil on this earth. But you need that. You need to take charge of your own health. You can't sit up here and think that these people are going to be responsible for your health. You can't sit up here and load up on starches, which would turn into sugar in your body, and expect for you to be in optimum health. You can't do that. You got to eat an extraordinary amount of greens. And what we do is we end up buying a bunch of organic green sources, and we mix our own superfood together, and we take that in order to supplement that is in lieu of the greens that we already grow here on the land. And of course, we try to grow as much as we can under plastic and stuff because, again, the air is polluted, the land is polluted. We try to use all the time natural composting methods. I mean, there's just it is a strenuous job, and it's a steep learning curve. Yet it's necessary if you're going to live a quality life. I mean, we have an 84-year-old woman here by the name of Mother Stallings who gets out in the garden still every chance she gets. She still works in the kitchen. And she's slowing down because of, life in itself, but she's still in a whole lot better health than many of you people in your 30s. And she still know who she is. She know who her father is. Yes, she does. And you know what's amazing? She gets around very, very well. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It's just a beautiful thing. And our world and our society has conditioned us to not trust in nobody but what they have set up as a system. I'm trying to teach you differently. I'm trying my best to live an example, be an example, to show you people that you don't have to keep following the way that they've trained you, coerced you, and manipulate you. You've got to change the paradigm. You got to change it. And think for a moment. You have the truth over here, and you have the lie over here. And most of us believe that we have learned and we know the truth, and we're all afraid to check out what we think we know to be the truth. You know why? Because it requires change. But what you're going to find out if you really truly start investigating the truth, no matter if it be on social, political, economic, or the religious front, you're going to find out that what you have been calling the truth all this time has been nothing but the lie. And that's just the truth. But we're afraid to look at this thing that we have received as truth because you know why? It's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow. I mean, saving face has become a high commodity today. And I'm not about to sit up there and change because then I have to admit that I'm wrong. And I'm not so sure if I'm ready to deal with that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and fight to maintain what I personally have chosen to believe to be the truth. And I'm going to stay there as long as I can. And I'm going to resist anybody who comes with any other way. Well, if you got a closed mind, closed heart, closed spirit, then you deserve exactly what you get. I just heard Jason Ford do a report. What a beautiful report. Over 3 million ounces of silver sold in the month of September. Just totally unheard of. How they do that? Why people do that? Why people do that? I mean, everything out there in the economic front is telling you that gold and silver is not money. You don't need it. Trust in the professionals. And boy, how many of you would sit there and watch your portfolio diminish right before your very eyes because you're trusting in the professionals? Let me tell you what these professionals are. They're professional liars and professional gangsters. That's what they are. And you need to start being your own personal professional, because if everybody in America starts pulling their money out of this so-called banking system, you know, the people who pull money out of thin air and create it, and then saddle you and I with the debt and the interest because we can't control our lust for stuff. Boy, I tell you, I don't know what else to say, but I'll tell you one thing. You start taking charge of your health. I mean, this article goes on and on and on and on and on. And basically what it's saying is stay away from hospitals as much as you can. When you get sick, don't sit up and go run to the hospital looking for antibiotics and all this other stuff, sticking snake venom and monkey pus in your body, and you have no idea what's going on. And then later on down the line, you find yourself one morning waking up, shaking in the bed, drooling at the mouth, eyes rolled in the back of your head. Nobody knows what's going on. Man. You ever heard of the word guinea pigs?